Am I crazy? Isn't it better to stay alive? Why would I even think about razzying her? That's right. She is gorgeous, but that's my best friend's woman. So no one can touch her. Charles thought. As long as you know, said Sean. Then why is he spouting all this nonsense now? I'm just curious about what Felix did to her. Sophie may look cold and aloof, but she was nice to them. She wouldn't just deal with them like what she did to Felix. What the hell did he do to provoke her? You already said that, right? That means Felix did something to anger her. I'm with Sophie this time. Charles was speechless to this, thinking that Felix would surely be sad when he heard that and how no one pitied what he had gone through. That was just sad. At that moment, the princess from Yatran was escorted out of the police station by her bodyguards. She threw and smashed everything in her hotel room when she got back. More than 10 bodyguards saw her in that state, but no one dared utter a word. They knew the princess' personality. She was a spoiled brat in the royal family. I don't care. You all need to bring me that woman. I won't let her off after she humiliated me today. She would never admit that she had lost to Sophie. Princess Alyssa, I think it's best we head back. This is Chonee, and you sneaked out of the palace. Her Majesty would be furious if she finds out. The one who said that was Alyssa's maid. The bodyguards dared not speak a word. I don't want to go back. It's hard for me to even come out, so I will never go back just like that. Alyssa sneaked out to look for Tristan in the first place. She had fallen hopelessly in love with Tristan at first sight. That was why she found ways to get to Chonee. There was no way she would leave without accomplishing anything. But if Her Majesty found out about this, don't worry. Her Majesty adores me, so she wouldn't do anything to me. Alyssa boasted. She was always the Queen's favorite princess. But this time, you angered Mr. Tristan. You knew that Her Majesty always wanted a collaboration with him. Her Majesty would surely be furious if she knew you have ruined it, the maid said in a worried tone. The Queen had always admired Tristan and was hoping to work together with him. All right. Just do what I tell you to, and stop yapping so much. You can go back now if you're not going to listen to me, and stop following me. What I do is my freedom and has nothing to do with you. I just don't want that woman to get away with this. I'll do everything I can to make her pay, Alyssa said in anger. She continued. Listen up, all of you. You all followed me here, so all of you will get it if something happens to me. You'd better do as I say and don't anger me. Go and get me that woman. Alyssa jumped on the bed after saying that. She was still angry. Even the housekeepers wouldn't listen to me now. I am the Princess of Yatran, and I have been loved ever since I was born. There's no way I'll take a humiliation like this. You guys are just too much. Her walking over me means that she's walking over Yatran, and all of you are still not helping me. The maids really didn't know what to do when they saw Alyssa like that, but they couldn't just go and bring Tristan's woman over. They were in Gypsdale, and it was Tristan's territory. None of them wanted to die anytime soon. The 4 of them walked out of the restaurant after the meal. However, Felix was still in a depressed state. He felt utterly humiliated after being beaten up by a little girl like that. This is awful. I'm saying this now. No one tells anyone what happened here today, or I'm breaking my friendship with you guys, Felix said to Tristan and Isabel. Isabel was speechless when she heard that. What gave him the courage to say that? Are you sure you want to break your friendship with me? Is it because I've been treating you well lately? And that's why you've been delusional? Isabel said in a sour tone. Felix immediately shook his head when he saw Isabel in that state. How could that be? I'm just playing. There's no way I'll do that to you, Felix replied with a smile. As for Tristan, he felt relieved when he saw Felix's meek look. Felix really liked Isabel, and he would never treat Isabel badly. Their combination was actually quite interesting. It's still early now, so what do you all want to do? Tristan asked Sophie. It had been a while since he came out with her, and he was finally free now. They could follow what the other couples were doing and go on a date. Isabel, the Wheelers are having a concert, right? I'm planning to go. What about you guys? Sophie was so busy lately that she didn't even have time to see the Wheelers. She wondered how Mark was doing these days and was wondering if Sonny's hands had already healed. Yup. They have a concert today. This is their first concert after their comeback, and the tickets were sold out immediately after it was on sale. I wanted to get the tickets, but my hands were not as fast as their fans. Isabel was quite depressed when she talked about that. Honestly, the Wheelers' fame is really unmatched in Chonea. They are really popular, and many love them. Isabel felt really proud as she said that. Let's go. I'll bring you there. The concert had already started when they arrived. The concert has started. How do we get in? They didn't even have tickets. The security at the Wheelers' concerts had always been very tight. Jonathan immediately appeared at the entrance after Isabel asked that question. Oh God, how could I forget? Sophie, you're the CEO of TS Entertainment. You can get into the Wheelers' concert anytime. It's all your fault. I feel like I've dumbed out because I have been hanging out with you too much. Isabel glared at Felix. Felix pursed his lips and looked helpless at that. What the heck? Her IQ lowered after she hangs out with me? Is she sure that it's not the opposite? Of course, he dared not say that out loud. Tristan's lips curled into a smile when he saw Felix's expression. He then put his arm around Sophie's shoulder and walked in. There were many fans who couldn't get in outside the venue, and they all came over when they saw Tristan and the group walking in. I thought you said there were no tickets left? Then why are they entering? This is bias. Yeah. You need to give us an explanation now. She's the CEO of TS Entertainment, and you're saying she can't enter? No one would dare stop the CEO of TS Entertainment from entering, even if Jonathan was not here. What kind of joke is that? I still want my job. What? She's the CEO of TS Entertainment? No way. She looks younger than me. She's only in her first year of university, so of course, she's young. The security said annoyingly, thinking that the fans were really crazy. The fans would have successfully gotten inside if it weren't for the security guard's professionalism. All right. I know you all love the Wheelers, but we really don't have any tickets left. You all can try to get the tickets faster and earlier next time. You think we're not fast enough? The other fans are just too fast. We're helpless too, okay? Even though they couldn't enter, they could still listen to their music from outside the venue. The fans were really struggling and trying their best. See that? There are so many fans who are still outside, and they couldn't even get in. Mark and the others are really incredible, Isabel said in admiration. Her fame was still not comparable to the Wheelers, even though she was also considered a singer now. She wondered when she could have a concert of her own like this. Yeah. I feel that the Wheelers can have another concert. They wouldn't feel sorry for the fans who were waiting outside that way, Sophie chimed in. Of course, she wouldn't want Mark and the others to get all exhausted. This is how the rock industry was. Huge efforts needed to be put in to make a concert successful. After that, the staff members would need a few days to recover from it. But wouldn't they be too tired? Isabel had her worries as well. That's why we'll discuss this in a few days after they rested. Sophie agreed to that. Tristan and Felix just looked at each other. Both the women were too focused on the Wheelers and ignoring their boyfriends. The men couldn't really sit right with this. Ms. Sophie, you're too kind. We always have 2 concerts in a row back when we were with Sky Media. Sky Media did earn buckets, but our team members were really drained. Sophie wanted to have another concert for the fans who were outside, but not because of the money. She's different from those in Sky Media. She could feel the passion of the fans when she entered the venue. Mark is in great condition today. Sophie was impressed. He was still undoubtedly the king of the stage when he was up there. As for Sonny, his hand finally healed, and this time, he was where he was supposed to be, shining like a star. Sophie really felt everything that she did was worth it when she saw that scene. All this looked so amazing to her. Isabel was now screaming with the fans, not caring about her vocal cords at all, whereas Felix was looking at her with a worried gaze. Isabel, you're a singer. You should learn to protect your voice. You shouldn't do what you're doing now. Isabel was really too much at times. She couldn't control herself every time she was at the Wheelers' concert. But I can't help it. I want to scream with everyone at an event like this. Do you want to go on stage? Even at this moment, Tristan's focus was still on Sophie. He knew she used to be part of the Wheelers, and he knew how bright she shone when she was on the stage. Maybe Sophie would want to join them on stage when she saw the members there. However, Sophie shook her head. I don't want that. I told you, right? The reason why I left was because I don't want to debut myself. Sophie wanted to live her life in a low-key way. She didn't want to be in the limelight and expose herself to the public. She couldn't accept a life like that. Okay. The concert continued on until 11 at night. As Mark stopped as his voice couldn't handle it anymore. Just then, Mark noticed Sophie and the group. He looked down from the stage with his microphone in hand and said, I want to thank someone. We could continue to perform on this stage because of her, and I know I wouldn't be able to even stand on the stage that I love if it wasn't for her. Sophie. Thank you. In truth, Mark wanted to say, I love you, but he didn't have the right to do so. That was why he could only say, thank you in the end. Hearing what he said, the members of the Wheelers stood in a straight line and bowed deeply toward Sophie. That was true. If Sophie weren't there, they wouldn't be on stage singing their favorite rock music. At that moment, the audience was completely silent. The fans didn't know what was going on, but they knew that the Wheelers once decided to leave the industry. Everyone could remember the Wheelers' last concert, and it was etched in their mind. Sophie gave them a big smile. There's no need for thank you between us. Sophie came looking for them backstage after the concert was over. Don't tire yourself out. You all can still sing as long as the Wheelers still exist. As a singer, the most important thing was to protect their voice and not be reckless. Don't worry. We know what we're doing. It wasn't their first time playing in a band, so they knew what to do and what not to do. I'm sorry, Sophie. We were overseas when old Mr. Tanner left, so we weren't able to make it. Not only that, but the news was sealed at that moment. They only knew what happened a little while after that. Sophie must have been so sad during that period of her life, they thought. Sophie patted Sonny's shoulder. Don't worry. I'm fine now. I look fine to you guys, right? Grandpa was old, so he would leave sooner or later anyway. I've gotten over it. Sonny came over and hugged Sophie, and the other members followed suit. Then, the 6 of them formed a group hug. It was easy to say, I'm fine, but it would never be easy to accept the fact that someone had left the world for good. The Wheelers' greatest regret was not being able to send Josiah off when he passed away. Isabel's eyes reddened when she saw the scene. She didn't want Sophie to see her in that state, so she left after informing Tristan. The other members then went to change, so there were only Sophie and Mark backstage, whereas Tristan went to the restroom. How are you, Mark? Sophie knew Mark had been through a lot, and she was worried he might still be trapped in it, but things seemed to be going fine based on how Mark looked. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Who do you think I am? I'm Mark. I know my life should be full of miracles, and I know I will be a legend one day. I love the stage, and I love singing. So, I will never leave again. I will sing until I can't sing anymore. That was how life was supposed to be. It was supposed to be full of ups and downs. He had already lost Sophie, so he couldn't lose his stage. That's great to hear. It's late. You all should get back and rest. Let's meet up for a meal someday. It was, indeed, quite late. Yeah. You should head back too. Mr. Tristan is still waiting for you outside. Don't make him wait too long. Tristan wouldn't be happy if Sophie worried about other men. After coming out from the stadium, Tristan drove back to his condominium located near University of Medicine. It was already past 1 o'clock when he arrived at the condominium. "Mr. Tristan, do you mind that I'm close to them?" Sophie asked. Everyone was aware that Mark liked her, and she knew it too. However, she had no control over what others felt for her. Tristan pulled her into his arms. "Do you want an honest answer?" "Yes." Since she inquired, she naturally wanted an honest answer, or else there was no need to ask in the first place. "No, I don't. I know you don't like him, and that's enough. You can't possibly have no friends," Tristan answered. He was aware of the Wheelers' importance to her, so he naturally would not make an unreasonable request of her. Sophie was touched by his words. She leaned in and kissed his lips. Tristan deserved it for being so considerate. Tristan would never turn down her affection, so he deepened the kiss. When their lips disengaged from the kiss, Sophie was already lifted to sit on the dining table, and Tristan stood between her legs. This position was very compromising without a doubt. In addition, Tristan's eyes were filled with desire. However, he managed to control himself at the very last second. He lowered his head to rest on her chest as he panted lowly. Meanwhile, Sophie hugged his head. She should not have tempted him, knowing that he would not take the initiative to touch her, and right now, she had to see him suffer. "Tristan, I'm fine. Just let me hold you for a while longer," he interrupted her. It was okay with him. He just had to endure for a little while more. Once she graduated, they would get married immediately. After his breathing calmed down, he lifted her and went back to her bedroom so she could take a shower. Then, he also went back to his bedroom. Even here, they did not sleep together and had separate rooms. In the bathroom, Sophie's face was still red. When she thought of his passion, her heartbeat sped up unconsciously. She seemed to be looking forward to sleeping with him for the first time. Sophie had only been in the shower for a short while as the electricity was cut off abruptly. At that moment, her body was covered in soap bubbles. The bathroom was dark, and she could not see anything. Sophie was at a loss. Meanwhile, Tristan was done bathing and was reading a book on his bed. He did not expect the power to go out at this hour. When he remembered that Sophie was probably still showering, he immediately got out of bed. He took his phone, turned on the flashlight, and then made haste to her bedroom. As he expected, she was still in the bathroom. "Are you done bathing?" Tristan asked while standing in front of the bathroom. "No. I'm still lathered up." Sophie felt helpless. "My luck is quite terrible lately. I just wanted to shower, and the electric supply stopped. This feels so odd. Is this karma from bullying Felix too much today? Only the power stopped. I think there's still hot water. I'll pass you my phone. You should clean yourself first." He twisted open the bathroom door and passed his phone to her. Sophie accepted the phone, and found a spot to put it on, then washed off all the suds on her body quickly. Thankfully, she had already finished washing her hair earlier. Otherwise, it would be more troublesome right now. During the whole process, Tristan stayed outside the door to accompany her. He did not make a noise and only guarded her on the outside. Tristan knew she was an independent girl. She probably would not be scared by situations like this, but he still wanted to stay here and protect her. After she was done, Sophie suddenly remembered that her clothes were on the bed. Since it was so dark outside, it should be fine for her to walk out directly. Therefore, she opened the door and walked out of the bathroom directly. Naturally, she had already turned off the flashlight on the phone. When he heard the noise, Tristan knew she was out of the bathroom. However, she was not using the flashlight. "Didn't I give you my phone? Did it run out of battery? It's too dark. You should be careful," Tristan reminded in concern. He would feel heartbroken if she got injured anywhere. "I'm not wearing anything," Sophie explained. The air in the room turned thick with tension in an instant. He chided himself for forgetting that she would always dress in the bedroom after showering. The moment he thought of her bare body, Tristan felt aroused again. He exclaimed, "Then I'll go out first." Tristan stepped out of her bedroom amidst the darkness and also closed the door behind him in a considerate manner. After he left, Sophie turned on the flashlight and wore the clothes she laid out on the bed. She burst out chuckling when she thought of Tristan's reaction earlier. With the phone in her hand, she went to look for him. "Here's your phone." In the modern age, everyone would feel very insecure without their phone. This was why she came to return his phone to him. Tristan hummed. "Thanks. Come here. I'll dry your hair." She had just come out of the shower, so her hair was probably dripping wet. With the power supply cut off, she would probably catch a cold if she went to sleep like this. Okay. Sophie obediently sat there and allowed him to dry her hair. She seemed to be fond of him drying her hair for her. His movements were gentle, and the sensation of his fingers combing through her tresses was very comfortable. Tristan's expression was very serious as he dried her hair, and his actions were equally focused. He made sure not to miss any part of her hair and only stopped once her hair was fully dry. "All right, you can go to sleep now. You have something to do tomorrow, right?" Since it was already past 2 in the morning, she would not have many hours left to sleep if she did not go now. "Yes. You should sleep too. I'll go now." After saying that, Sophie turned to walk away. However, Tristan grabbed her hand and pulled her back. She fell into his arms. He only let her go after hugging her for a while. "Okay. You can go now." At Central Hospital, Arius was almost fully recovered. The result of Sophie's research was amazing. It completely negated all the side effects. Arius believed he could be discharged from the hospital. He felt as if he would be wasted if he stayed there any longer. "Sophie, I'm fully recovered. Look at me. Aren't I doing well? Please discharge me," Arius pleaded. He felt pathetic. In the past, Arius had the last say in everything, but now, he could not leave if he did not have Sophie's approval. That made him very uncomfortable. "Didn't I already say that you can't? That's enough. Stop struggling and stay in the hospital for a few more days," Sophie said. The virus this time was not to be taken lightly, so they had to be very cautious. "Dr. Smith, can't you discipline your mentee? She wouldn't listen when I forbade her from leaving the hospital in the past. It's unfair that she's being so strict with me now," Arius complained. However, Barney would not even glance at him. "Listen to Sophie. Why do you talk so much nonsense?" "Huh. Dr. Smith, don't you love me anymore? Do you only care about Sophie now?" Arius retorted. Barney merely hummed in response and nodded lightly, without any denial. "Dr. Smith, don't you know that your honesty hurts me? How can you treat me like this?" whined Arius with a pitiful expression. "Am I being disregarded by Dr. Smith as his mentee? What does your being upset got to do with me? I only care about Sophie's feelings. How other people feel is none of my business." Barney had always been a straightforward person. It was not as if Arius knew him for the first time. "All right. It's my fault for shooting myself in the foot." Arius felt rather dejected. They don't understand what it feels to lie in bed all day long and to be confined to this tiny ward. Seeing how dejected Arius looked, Sophie could not help but feel pity for him. "All right. Why don't you stay for another 3 days? If your condition improves, I'll allow you to be discharged. How about that?" Sophie made a deal with Arius. Sophie had a soft heart for Arius, but she had to be stern for the sake of his health. Arius was touched. "I knew this would happen. You're the only person in this world who still cares about me. Not like someone who forgets about his old mentee after he has a new one." "Humph." Arius then turned and side-glanced Barney. Barney simply snorted in response to Arius' accusation. He did not care about how Arius thought of him. Sophie was the most important person in his mind right now. Her future possessed infinite possibilities, and he could not wait to uncover her potential. Just then, Georgina came to deliver Arius medication. She was not surprised to see Barney and Sophie there. Georgina knew about Arius' identity. She took a liking to him the first time she met him. Hence, during these 2 days when she was less busy, she deliberately came to deliver his medication personally. Thus, everyone could sense that she was interested in Arius. "Professor Gulliver, it's time for your medication," Georgina reminded gently. "You can place them there. I'll take them in a while." On the other hand, Arius did not feel the same toward Georgina. He learned that Barney intended to recruit Georgina into International Medical Association. Since they would become colleagues soon, he wanted everyone to interact comfortably. Georgina was rather upset when Arius did not make any eye contact with her. However, she could understand Arius' response, or the lack of it. An exceptional talent like Professor Gulliver would have met various women in his life. Why would he pay particular attention to a plain Jane like me? Sophie shook her head when she saw Georgina's dispirited expression. She waited for Georgina to leave before asking Arius, "Did you do or say something misleading?" Arius retorted, "I've no idea what you're talking about. Can you come straight to the point? Georgina seems to like you." Sophie was not entirely sure but came to that conclusion as Georgina's expression reminded her of the time when Felix was crazy over Isabel. Arius kept silent. Barney raised his head too. "I'm warning you. You'd better not play with people's feelings. Georgina is a nice girl, so if you don't like her, stop leading her on with your misleading actions." Most people were not able to handle disappointment when they had expectations. "Whoa, are you both serious? She genuinely likes me." Although Arius had a high intelligence quotient, it could not be said the same for his emotional intelligence. "By the way, don't mention this to anyone. After all, she's a girl. Do be considerate of her feelings. Don't make it awkward for everyone." Sophie came to know Georgina's personality after interacting with her for some time. "Okay, I got it." Arius did not think much of Georgina since he was not interested in her anyway. However, since Sophie had voiced it out, he had to respond. Only Sophie's words mattered to him in this world. Meanwhile, it had been 3 days since Willow was taken away by the police. Charmaine had been resisting the urge to call Sophie for help, but ultimately she relented. However, Sophie had long blocked Charmaine's number. Thus, she could not get through to Sophie at all. Charmaine then tried to contact Sophie through other means, but no matter how she tried, Sophie remained out of reach. Charmaine was very distressed about the current situation, but her hands were tied. To add on to her distress, Yale had not come home for the past 3 days. Every time she called Yale, he would brush her off patronizingly. He no longer had her in his heart. In the end, Charmaine went to the police station alone to visit Willow. Willow could not believe that it took Charmaine so long to visit her. "Mom, are you truly abandoning me? Did you believe that Sophie would listen to you? Haven't I told you that I'm the only person who will obey you? So, you can't abandon me. Do you understand?" Willow was getting emotional. "Please hurry up and think of how to get me out of here. I can't stay a minute longer. You have no idea how bad the food here is that I can't bring myself to eat it." It had only been 3 days, but Willow had lost quite a bit of weight and looked disheveled, a far cry from the wealthy heiress she used to be. "Willow, what exactly did you do? Why did they capture you?" Charmaine could not make any sense of what was happening. "Mom, I'm in this state today because of Sophie. She was the one who framed me. You have to believe me." Willow felt resentful and could not take it anymore. "What did she accuse you of?" Charmaine needed to know what happened that led to the predicament. "What else can she accuse me of? Anyway, you need not know too much. You still have some money, right? Get some connections to settle my case. I honestly cannot stay here any longer." Every minute spent at the police station was torture to Willow. She could not take it anymore. "Yes, I still have some money. Let me think of something." "Don't worry, darling." Ultimately, Charmaine still felt that Willow was more considerate as a daughter than Sophie. Thus, she would never give up on Willow. As for Sophie, Charmaine never felt that the former treated her like a mother. In Charmaine's eyes, Sophie was a heartless and unreliable person. Her only hope was Willow. In the next few days, Charmaine went around setting up connections to try and get Willow released. However, despite using the last bit of all her savings, all her efforts were futile. It came to a point where Charmaine was barred from visiting Willow when she made her way to the police station. "What do you mean I can't visit her? I only want to see my daughter for a while. What's wrong with that?" After spending so much money and seeing no positive results, Charmaine was getting desperate. "I'm sorry. We're following orders from the higher-ups. The case Willow Tanner is involved in is a serious matter. Hence, she's not allowed any visitors," the policeman explained. "Who gave the orders? Can you tell me who it is? Is it Sophie Tanner? Was she the one who instructed you all to do so?" Charmaine was fuming over the atrocity of the order. How could she do that? Willow is her sister, yet she is so heartless to want to force her into a dead end. Right then, Sophie appeared at the police station after receiving a call asking her to come down and give a statement about Willow hiring a hitman to kill her. It was then Sophie overheard Charmaine's conversation with the policeman. "So I'm that kind of person in your eyes, huh?" Sophie remarked coldly. Tristan gave Charmaine an icy stare as well. Charmaine was already shocked to hear Sophie's voice. Now, the look on Tristan's face intimidated her further. However, for the sake of Willow, she had to get a grip on herself. "Sophie, what are you doing? No matter how bad things went with you and your sister, I didn't intervene in the past. But this is too much. How could you let things escalate and even got the police? Hurry up and tell them that this is all a misunderstanding and ask them to release Willow." Charmaine urged anxiously. "I'm your mother, after all. Can't you even grant this menial request of mine?" "How could I? I'm not the one who hired a hitman to kill her own sister. She wanted to kill me, and yet you accuse me of escalating the matter?" Charmaine leered. "Don't you have any conscience left? I get that you favor Willow, but you've got to at least be reasonable." Sophie knew that her mother had always favored Willow. However, her heart still ached to hear Charmaine stating it outright. Charmaine was stumped. "I didn't mean it that way. You're both my children, and I don't want to see either one of you get into trouble. No matter what happens in our family, don't you think that it's better that we resolve it on our own? Why do you have to go to this extent? I know that the two of you have never gotten along. As long as you let her off the hook this time, I promise that she won't do something like this again. I've given her enough chances. She framed and smeared my name, and I had to go to Horrington all alone because of her. I forgave her and didn't hold her responsible for my sufferings. However, this time, I'm not letting her get away," Sophie said. Giving in to Willow time and again would only make her take advantage of Sophie's leniency. "Sophie, what do I have to do for you to spare Willow? Do I have to kneel before you? You're the CEO of Tanner Group now. Aren't you worried how your employees will see you when you're being this petty?" Charmaine reasoned. "Since they're my employees, let me worry about how they'll see me." "It has nothing to do with you," Sophie retorted. "How dare she threaten me? And she had the cheek to say that I'm her daughter too. I should have known that she's always biased toward Willow." Sophie was relieved that she had seen through it all. Otherwise, she would have been heartbroken. Tristan wrapped his hands around Sophie's shoulders and displayed a hostile attitude toward Charmaine. "Mrs. Tanner, please mind your attitude. We're the victims here," Tristan said coldly. He couldn't bear to listen to her spewing nonsense any longer. Every time she opened her mouth, Tristan would feel an overwhelming urge to make the words she spoke her last words. The sole reason that she was still alive was because she was Sophie's mother. The chief came over to lead the way for Sophie and Tristan. He was especially courteous after he knew that it was Tristan who personally brought Sophie over and let the couple walk ahead of him. Charmaine wanted to follow them when she saw them leaving. However, she was stopped by a few police officers. "Excuse me, madam. The chief says that you can't go in." "What's with your attitude? Did you know who your chief just escorted? That's my daughter and son-in-law." Charmaine warned arrogantly. The police officers couldn't help but let out a sneer. So what? It seems like your daughter and son-in-law aren't too pleased with you. After all, the police officers had overheard their conversation. Even if they were strangers, it pained them to just hear what Sophie had been through. They couldn't imagine how hurt Sophie must have been. And now she has the audacity to say such things. It's true what they say about how terrifying shameless people can be. You, Charmaine had wanted to lash out at them. However, the police officers were not intimidated and interrupted her. Madam, this is the police station. Please do not get in the way of our work. If you continue to disrupt our official duties, we will not hesitate to send you to accompany your other daughter. The police officers had many matters to attend to, and they certainly did not have the time to waste on Charmaine. Charmaine had never felt more humiliated. Though the Tanner family was not considered a massively affluent family, it was still a family name that commanded respect in Gypsdale. However, even a menial police officer dared to disrespect her now. Charmaine blamed it all on Sophie. If it wasn't for Sophie, she wouldn't have to suffer such indignance. She felt even more disappointed in Sophie. She's never the sweetheart I want her to be. No matter how accomplished she is, she will never think of me. Sophie is just a selfish person who sees no one but herself. Charmaine vowed that she would get Willow out of jail. Willow was her only hope. Meanwhile, in the chief's office, the chief explained, "Mr. Tristan, we've investigated the matter thoroughly. Willow Tanner did hire a hitman, but she is Sophie Tanner's sister. How do you guys plan to proceed with this?" Now that the renowned Mr. Tristan had come all the way here, the chief reckoned that it was best to let Tristan and Sophie decide the next course of action. Her mental state is worrisome. Just send her to a psychiatric nursing home, Sophie said coldly. Since Willow hadn't appreciated the chances given to her, Sophie thought the psychiatric nursing home would befit her the most. The chief cast a glance at Tristan. The latter nodded in agreement. "Her decision is final," Tristan muttered. "I'm never the one calling the shots." "Why's the chief looking at me?" "Understood, Ms. Tanner. We'll provide a hospital discharge document and transfer her directly to the psychiatric nursing home. Is there anything else you would like to add?" "I think this is fine. What do you think?" Sophie asked and turned to look at Tristan. The man, again, nodded in agreement. Whatever she says, goes. He had no objections. As for Willow, there was a multitude of ways to deal with the woman who tried to hurt Sophie after she arrived at the psychiatric nursing home. "Let's go." Usually, people wouldn't fancy going to the police station, and Sophie was no exception. "Let me see the two of you to the door." The chief stood up and personally saw them to the exit. After escorting them out of the police station, the chief even opened the car door for Sophie and watched them leave. He heaved a sigh of relief after sending them off. Mr. Tristan has finally left. The chief had to walk on eggshells in front of Tristan, even with his breathing was slow. The feeling was far from pleasant. Right then Charmaine, who was hiding aside, approached the chief. "Chief, what do I have to do for you to let Willow go?" "Just say the word, and I'll make it happen," Charmaine said. The chief furrowed his brows at the sight of her. "Who are you? Do you know what you're saying?" "I do my job according to the law. Are you trying to insult my integrity?" "Please leave, or I'll have you arrested," the police chief warned. "Are you kidding me? That's Mr. Tristan we're talking about. Who would dare to stop him from doing what he wants? Please. Willow is still a child, and her life has just begun. If she is arrested now, her life will be ruined." The chief paused in his tracks and asked, "Are you Sophie's mother?" Despite not knowing why he asked about that, Charmaine nodded. "Yes. I'm her mother. Would it be better to say so? It's the truth anyway. You should think of a way to make amends when you have a daughter like Sophie. I guess you've done many good deeds in your past life to have such a kind daughter who managed to win Mr. Tristan's affection." "I'm so envious of her." Charmaine was rendered speechless. As the chief had something else to tend to, He couldn't waste more time with her and left immediately. Standing still in bafflement, Charmaine didn't know what else she could do. There was no one she could talk to about the matter now. Then, the chief immediately asked someone to send Willow to a psychiatric nursing home. At the sight of the police officers, Willow thought they would release her. "Can I go now?" asked Willow cheerfully. "That's it. I've had enough of it after being kept here for days. I'll never return to this place again. After I get out of here, I will teach Sophie a lesson." "Damn you, Sophie. How dare you set me up? I won't let you off easily." "Let you go? Do you think you can still do that after offending Mr. Tristan?" "Well, you could say that too, because staying in a psychiatric nursing home is better than being here." The psychiatric nursing home he meant was the most expensive one in Gypsdale. Willow was stunned. "What are they talking about? I don't understand at all. Aren't they here to release me? Why are they suddenly talking about a psychiatric nursing home? Who says I'm going to a psychiatric nursing home? I'm not going. What are you doing? I'm telling you. I don't want to go to a psychiatric nursing home. I'd rather stay here than in a psychiatric nursing home. You are not the one making decisions now. Things have turned out like this. Does she think she still gets to choose now?" Willow held tightly onto the door and refused to leave. She would rather stay here than go to a psychiatric nursing home. However, as the police officers were strong, they broke her grip directly and dragged her along the ground and out of the station. "Ah. What are you trying to do? Let go of me. What are you doing? Do you know who I am? How dare you treat me like this?" She struggled and threw a fit, but to no avail. In the end, she was forced into the car and sent to the psychiatric nursing home. Throughout the journey, despair inundated Willow. How could Sophie be so cruel? "I can't believe such a wicked woman exists in this world. She will definitely get what she deserves. She has done so many bad things. I'm sure she'll reap what she has sowed." It was the same psychiatric nursing home Felix had sent her to back then. When she reached the entrance, a look of fear was written on her face. She swore she would never return when she left the place back then. However, she didn't expect she would be sent here again. At that moment, she fell into utter despair. "Please take me back to the station. I would rather go to jail than stay here. Please, I beg you." Willow appeared very pathetic, like a mad person. "Mr. Tristan has asked you guys to take good care of her." It was unlikely for one to disobey Tristan's orders. "Yes. We've received the call." Then, Willow was given a sedative and carried into the nursing home. At that moment, Willow could only lie there quietly, as no one would respect her choice and know whether she was alive. In short, not many in this world would remember her existence. Meanwhile, Sophie accompanied Tristan and arrived at Lombard Group. She daydreamed while looking out the window at her seat while he had gone to deal with something. Right then, she thought of Josiah. She was willing to tolerate all this while for his sake. No matter what Willow had done, she would pretend nothing had happened and forgive her again and again. She would teach Willow a lesson, but never to the extent of wanting to end her. However, she couldn't hold back anymore this time. "Grandpa, I bet you will be so disappointed seeing me do such a thing," muttered Sophie to herself. Josiah adored Sophie and always hoped his family could live happily. It didn't matter to him whether they loved one another. The least he asked for was that they could live in harmony. However, Sophie realized she had not done anything he asked for until now. "I wonder if Grandpa would be very disappointed with me." After Tristan returned, the sight of Sophie daydreaming broke his heart. He walked up to her, hugged her gently, and let her lean on his shoulders. "What are you thinking about?" As she leaned on his shoulder in his embrace, the corner of her lips curved into a grin. "Tristan, I'm glad to have you with me. I guess all my luck has brought me to meet you and Grandpa. That is why the rest are so wicked. Do you miss old Mr. Tanner? If so, why don't I go with you to visit his grave? It has been long since we last went." "Sure, we'll go tomorrow. It's late now." As many things had happened lately, She felt the urge to tell Josiah about them. All right. We'll go tomorrow. Don't think about anything anymore. And have a good sleep back home. Okay. I was not anyway. Tristan's heart ached. However, what he could only do now was to stay by her side. The next morning, Tristan bought breakfast and ate with her before they drove to buy some flowers and headed to the graveyard. When they arrived at the graveyard, Sophie placed the flowers in front of the tombstone. As she stood there, she didn't know what to say for a moment. All the words she wanted to say died in her throat at that moment. I miss you, Grandpa. I've been busy lately and didn't have time to visit you. You don't blame me, right? I'm doing good now, so you don't have to worry about me, and take good care of yourself too. As Sophie spoke, she could not bring herself to say more. Her throat felt dry, and her eyes teared up. Sophie was not a sentimental person, but she couldn't help but show her weakness whenever she was with Josiah. Tristan's heart ached as he watched her. Don't worry, old Mr. Tanner. I'll take good care of her. Tristan wrapped his arm around her shoulder. As it was November, a strong breeze blew, and the weather in Gypsdale was turning colder. Come on, let's go back now. I bet old Mr. Tanner knows well what you wanted to say. He knows you best after all. He thought she didn't have to say anything in the first place. I would like to stay here for a little while longer, Sophie said as she didn't feel like heading back just yet. All right then. As always, Tristan could never bring himself to say no to her. He then took off his double-breasted coat and draped it over her shoulders as he continued. You need to stay warm, or you'll catch a cold. Okay. Because Tristan was only wearing dress shirt and slacks, Sophie feared he would catch a cold instead. As such, she decided to head back after standing there for a bit. There were a lot of stuff that she wanted to say, but she couldn't bring herself to speak her mind as she wasn't good at expressing herself. Even so, she believed that Josiah would know what she had in mind. Sophie turned around and glanced at the graveyard once more after entering the car. Realizing that she was reluctant to leave, Tristan gently held her hand and said, We'll come to visit him often. The graveyard wasn't that far away, so he could easily visit Josiah's grave with her. That way, she wouldn't feel as sad. Yeah, you're right. Thanks. He is probably the only person who would remain by my side and never leave me. Tristan leaned in close and gave her a kiss on the forehead. There's no need to thank me. I'm happy with being able to stay by your side. Sophie nuzzled against his chest as she said, But I want to thank you. She still wasn't used to such unconditional acts of kindness. For now, let's go home. It had almost been a month since they returned to University of Medicine and Gypsdale University. Since the issue with the gene virus had been taken care of, Sophie decided to return to University of Medicine. Sandra and Simon ran up to her the moment they saw her on campus. Where have you been, Sophie? You were gone for almost an entire month. Do you have any idea how worried we were? Did something bad happen to you? Sandra bombarded Sophie with a series of questions while eyeing her from head to toe. I'm fine. I just had some business to take care of. There's nothing to worry about, Sophie replied in a gentle tone. Did you get yourself into trouble or something? Please let me know if that's the case. I will help you out in any way I can. Simon said as he had some influence in Gypsdale. I'm fine, really. Despite growing up in a fairly wealthy family, Simon wasn't a bad person. Sandra and Simon had no idea what Sophie had been up to throughout the past month, but they respected her privacy enough to not pry into her personal affairs any further. All that mattered was the fact that Sophie came back alive and well. They didn't want to make her uncomfortable by asking her about stuff that she didn't feel like discussing. Greta felt very uncomfortable when she saw how close Simon was with the two of them, but there wasn't much she could do about it. Her feelings towards Simon had always been one-sided, and she knew it would be impossible to force someone into a relationship. However, she simply couldn't bring herself to get over him and move on. Sophie only had a 2-hour class that afternoon. After finishing that class, she packed her stuff and was about to head back when Greta stopped her. Sophie, do you mind if I ask you a question? Sophie frowned in displeasure as she did not like the way things were going. She hated trouble and couldn't be bothered to waste her time on people she disliked. I am not obligated to answer your questions. It will only take a minute, Sophie. I won't bother you again if you just answer this one question of mine, Greta insisted. Although Greta didn't pose much of a threat to her, Sophie decided to answer her question anyway to avoid unnecessary conflicts. What is it? Do you like Simon? We're just friends. Since Simon was no longer hostile toward her, Sophie figured she could classify him as a friend. Not wanting to waste any more of her time, Sophie said, "There, are you happy now? If yes, please step aside. I still have some business to attend to." She had vowed to outperform Whitley Group within 3 months. As she spent a month dealing with the gene virus incident, she did not make a lot of progress and would need to pick up the pace. Greta was overjoyed when she heard that. "We can be friends as long as you don't have feelings for Simon." "I don't need a friend like you. If a friendship requires conditions to be fulfilled beforehand, then it simply isn't genuine. I have no need for such friends." Greta's expression turned gloomy as she exclaimed, "What's with that attitude of yours, Sophie? Do you really think that highly of yourself? You should consider yourself honored that I'm willing to be your friend." Having wasted a minute dealing with Greta, Sophie simply shot her cold glare and walked off without saying anything. Greta stamped her feet in anger and frustration as she couldn't stand being ignored. One of the female classmates, who happened to witness their conversation earlier, told her, "You should just forget about befriending Sophie. There's no way an arrogant person like her would ever accept you as her friend." Greta let out a disdainful snort in response. "Humph. Whatever. It doesn't bother me anyway." She couldn't care less about Sophie as long as the latter didn't develop feelings for Simon. Noticing that Simon and Sandra were making their way over, Greta ran up to them and said, "Hey Simon, how about we have dinner together?" Not wanting to waste any more of Greta's time, Simon decided to be honest about his feelings toward her. "I don't think we're that close, Greta. We used to be classmates in high school, nothing more. I know you have feelings for me, but I need you to understand that I do not feel the same about you. You should just give up on me." Sandra shot him a surprised glance when she heard what he said. This guy sure doesn't hesitate when it comes to rejecting girls. Didn't Sophie reject guys the same way? Maybe they've spent so much time together that she's rubbing off on him. Greta was not expecting him to embarrass her in front of everyone like that. I'm just asking you to have dinner with me, Simon. You didn't have to go that far," she exclaimed with reddened eyes. "And I just don't feel like having dinner with you. Also, please stop bothering Sophie in the future. She has nothing to do with me not reciprocating your feelings. Is Sophie all you care about? She doesn't even like you, Simon. You're nothing but a friend to her. And what does that have to do with you? I hate people who think too highly of themselves. They go around acting as though everyone has to do as they say. Forget it, Simon. Let's go." As much as Sandra disliked Greta, she felt that Simon was being a little overboard with his words. In the evening, Sandra called Sophie to tell her what happened earlier that afternoon. "Sophie, I think Simon's attitude toward Greta is going to make her hate you even more. After all, the fewer enemies they had in school, the better. There's nothing I can do about it. It's a fact that Simon is not interested in Greta. I can't force him to like her because of me, right? Besides, that was Simon's personal affairs, and it was up to him how he wanted to handle it. Sophie and he were just friends, and she had no right to interfere." "All right. I understand. Anyway, what are you up to? Is there anything I can help you with? You have to let me know if you need any help, yeah." Everyone was aware that Sophie was very busy during that period of time. However, as no one knew what she was doing, they did not know how they could help her. "I'm just dealing with some work at the office. You guys won't be able to help me with it." "Don't worry, I can manage." Both Sandra and Simon were just normal college students, and Sophie did not want to bother them with anything as they should be focusing on their studies. "Sure then. But if you need any help, you have to tell me." After saying that, Sandra hung up and went back to her books. Everyone had different capabilities and was meant to do different things. Sandra was well aware that Simon and she would not be able to help Sophie with a lot of the things that she was involved in. However, if they worked harder, maybe one day, they could be of some assistance to the woman. After hanging up, Sophie continued with her work at Tanner Group. The company was currently in a mess because of the trouble Willow created. They practically had to start over. As Sophie had had enough of Willow, she decided to send her to the psychiatric nursing home. That way, no one would bother her ever again. When Victor returned to the office after he was done with his work, he was surprised to see that Sophie was still in the office. Worried that she might skip her meals, the man said, "Miss Sophie, have you had your dinner yet? I'll buy you a meal. No matter how busy you are, you still have to eat. Her health is going to take a toll if she keeps up with this. Moreover, she has a weaker body and needs even more nutrition. It's all right. I'm wrapping up soon. You should go back first." Sophie was dealing with a rather tricky situation at hand that required more time. However, she was going to be done with it soon. Besides, Charles had organized a dinner gathering, and they were supposed to be eating together. "I see. If that's the case, I shall head back first. Call me if you need any help. My phone is always on." "Mr. White, you don't have to do that. Growing a company takes a long time, and it is a continuous process." Sophie knew that Victor was a man with passion and was very eager to bring the company to new heights. However, he should still take care of his health. "I understand, but isn't it your goal to overtake Whitley Group within 3 months? We have to put in more effort in order to achieve that." Since Sophie had already openly declared competition, Victor was determined to make it happen so that Sophie wouldn't be embarrassed no matter how tough it was. "I'll treat you to a good meal another day. You've been working so hard, and it must be really tiring," Sophie said with a smile. She was only able to focus on other endeavors without worrying about Tanner Group because Victor was around to oversee matters at the company. "Sure. I'll be waiting for your treat then." Victor had been working at Tanner Group for a while, but had not had the chance to eat with Sophie yet. "It's set then. By the way, Transfix Cosmetics could be in some trouble. Can you make a trip there tomorrow if you have the time? I'll pass you the contact of the person in charge later. You can contact her directly." Wilma seemed to be facing some issues, but she had not told Sophie anything about it. Wilma was a capable woman, and Sophie trusted that she would handle the situation well. However, as it had been dragging on for some time, Sophie suspected that it could be a difficult case. "Sure. I'll go tomorrow." Victor readily agreed. He was happy to help in any manner he could. After Victor left, Sophie fixed a few more details before saving the document and switching off her computer. The moment she stepped out of the building, she saw Tristan's car parked outside. "Didn't I tell you that you don't have to come and fetch me? I can go home myself." "That's not possible. Picking you up is both my right and my duty. No matter how we see it, it's just right that I come." Tristan opened the car door for Sophie to get in before returning to the driver's seat. "What's going on? Is Tanner Group facing any issues? I noticed that you've been coming here more often lately." Sophie used to leave all company matters in Victor's hands. "Everything is fine. I'm just trying to improve the company's revenue, so I will be going to the office more often over the next few months." Since she had already stated that she would accomplish the feat within 3 months, she intended to stick to the timeline. "Is it because of my father? You don't have to do this just because of him. If he likes you, he wouldn't be picking on you in the first place. If he doesn't like you, even if Tanner Group manages to overtake Whitley Group, nothing would change." Tristan felt that it was completely unnecessary for Sophie to do anything to please William. It was simply not worth it. She was the best in his eyes, and all that mattered was that he loved her. He did not care about other people's opinions at all. "It's not entirely because of that. Since I've taken the helm of Tanner Group, I'm responsible for the company's performance. As such, I have to do everything within my abilities to ensure the company does well." This is also Grandpa's wish. Sophie was bent on doing her best, as Tanner Group was the fruit of her grandfather's labor. The fact that Josiah had entrusted the company to her meant that he had faith in her, and she was not about to let him down. Tristan kept one hand on the steering wheel and held the woman's hand with the other before saying, "It makes my heart ache to see you work so hard. After all, you've just completed the virus research and barely had time to rest before starting on your next task. I'm just worried that your body wouldn't be able to take it." "I'm fine. Work keeps me fulfilled. Isn't life supposed to be filled with challenges? Otherwise, it would be so boring. Don't you think?" They were not the sort of people who liked to stay idle. "All right then. Is there anything I can help you with?" Tristan knew that Sophia was a very independent woman, but he often hoped that she would let him work alongside her and help her achieve her goals. "Not at the moment. Don't worry. I will definitely let you know if I need help." She wanted Tristan to stay out of the matter. Ultimately, it was a competition between her and Jennifer. Since that was the case, it wouldn't be fair if the man got involved. Sophie wanted to make sure that Jennifer accepted her defeat without any excuses. She also wanted to send a clear message to all the socialites and heiresses of wealthy families in Gypsdale, warning them of the consequences they had to bear for coveting Tristan. She could turn a blind eye to many things, but given her possessiveness, she would not allow anyone to have any ideas on Tristan. He was her man and belonged to her alone. "Geez. It's just Jennifer. She's really not worth the effort," Tristan said. However, the fact that Sophie was willing to pit herself against Jennifer showed that he had an important place in her heart. Charles was the host of that day's gathering. He recently found a new girlfriend, so he wanted to introduce her to everyone. Everyone was intrigued after learning about his intention. After all, Charles had always been a frivolous person. Now that he was hosting that gathering for his girlfriend, that could only mean that he was getting serious. When Tristan and Sophie reached the venue, Felix and Isabel had just arrived too. The four entered the place together after they handed their car keys to the parking valet. "What's the matter with Charles? Didn't he just break up?" Everyone was already used to Charles's ever-changing relationship status. Did he find a new girlfriend so soon? Not to mention one he would introduce to us? Tristan could only shake his head in response to Felix's question. "I'm as clueless as you, so don't ask me." None of them was qualified to interfere in Charles's love life. Still, they simply obliged since he wanted to show them his new girlfriend. Isabel walked beside Sophie and wrapped her arms around hers. "Sophie, we haven't had a meal together in such a long time. I couldn't care less about meeting Charles's girlfriend. I'm only here because I want to hang out with you. You've been too busy lately." It was almost impossible for Isabel to meet with Sophie because of the latter's jam-packed schedule. "I've been swamped lately, but I'll have more free time after toughing through this period." "Okay. You must prioritize your health regardless of how busy you are, got it?" Otherwise, Isabel feared Sophie would collapse from overexertion. "Don't worry. I'm fine." Sophie had a great deal to do, but she had never been sick thus far. They chatted while walking into the restaurant. The first session of their gathering was to fill their stomach. Sophie saw a familiar figure right after she stepped into the eatery. The girl sitting beside Charles was also momentarily dazed and at a loss when she saw Sophie. Tristan stood next to Sophie, so he sensed the changes in her mien. "What's the matter?" When Charles saw them, he immediately got up to welcome them. After everyone was seated, he proceeded with the introduction. "She's my girlfriend, Greta Soros. We'll be hanging out frequently in the future, so please help me look after her." That was right. Charles's new girlfriend was Greta. He became acquainted with her by chance. The moment he laid his eyes on her, Charles felt Greta was his Ms. Right. Greta looked at Sophie, who was sitting opposite Tristan. She felt a little restless when Charles introduced her. "Sophie knows how much I fancied Simon. I wonder if she will divulge this information now that I've become Charles's girlfriend. But it seems Charles likes me a lot now, so he probably won't trust anything Sophie says." Therefore, I don't think I have to be so nervous. Greta smiled faintly, giving off a ladylike vibe. Hello, my name is Greta Soros. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Greta uttered gently. Isabel merely glanced at her indifferently and continued talking to Sophie about what had happened recently. Tristan and Felix were focused on their girlfriends. They looked at Greta once and didn't pay her any attention afterward. They had a feeling Charles wouldn't marry her. What's with your attitude? I'm introducing my girlfriend to all of you. Can't you take this situation more seriously? Charles was slightly unhappy. He had finally wanted to engage in a meaningful and sincere relationship. I want to try doing this because of how seemingly happy Tristan and Felix are in their respective relationship. So why aren't they cooperating with me? Charles, you can date anyone or get married as you please. We don't have any comment on what you do. Those were his choices to make after all. Dejection swamped Charles. What do you mean by that? Why aren't they more supportive of my resolution to finally start taking my relationships seriously? That's enough. Have them serve the dishes. I'm hungry. The time was getting late, and everyone was starving. Their primary purpose for being there was to have their meal instead of meeting with Charles's girlfriend. Charles had no choice but to request the staff to serve the dishes since that was the whole point of visiting a restaurant. Sophie and Isabel were at ease throughout mealtime. The four men also had their discussion topics, leaving only Greta to feel awkward and out of place. After having their meal, Sophie wanted to go to the restroom. Greta immediately found an excuse to follow Sophie. Greta halted Sophie's way inside the restroom. Sophie uttered nonchalantly. I don't have the slightest interest in your love life, so you don't have to explain anything to me. Nevertheless, I should remind you. Charles is not someone you should mess around with, so I hope you know what you're doing. What do you mean by that? I think you're just jealous of me. Why can't my relationship with Charles last? So what if I had a crush on Simon? Are you saying that you've never liked another man? Have you only harbored loving feelings for your current boyfriend and no one else? Greta snorted. I didn't say anything about you, so you don't have to feel embarrassed and get angry. So what if you don't like Simon anymore? How does that concern me? Sophie doubted if Simon would care about Greta's feelings either. The only thing that baffled Sophie was if Charles's taste in women had always been that terrible. She couldn't believe he had chosen someone like Greta to start a serious relationship. Greta was rendered speechless. Sophie left after washing her hands. She was unwilling to entertain Greta further. Anger washed over Greta as she stood in her spot. She had initially planned to get along with Sophie, but that seemed like an impossible thing to do now. Sophie has always been arrogant and full of herself. There's no way I can make friends with her. But that's all right. I believe Sophie won't be able to lay a finger on me as long as I try my best to secure Charles's affection. Charles is a distinguished man. He certainly knows what's best for him. Tristan was waiting for Sophie outside when she exited the restroom. After finishing their meals, Charles had already arranged the second round of their gathering. Naturally, the venue was nocturnal. Are you tired? If you're tired, we can go back first. Knowing Sophie had been putting a lot of effort into handling that matter related to the gene virus, Tristan was concerned about her well-being. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Since everyone is in the mood to have fun, and it has been so long since the last time I spent time with the others, let's go to Nocturnal together today. In fact, she had already recovered. Okay, let's go then. What do you think about Charles's girlfriend? Charles was finally getting serious about his relationship. Still, Tristan couldn't help but feel Greta wasn't a keeper. What do you think? Sophie didn't fancy speaking ill of others behind their back. However, she genuinely disliked Greta. I don't think she's a keeper. Their relationship probably wouldn't last over a month. Charles had never committed himself to any long-term relationship. Most girls who agreed to be with him harbored ulterior motives, so both parties merely sought mutual benefits. Hence, it wasn't easy to define who was in the wrong. All right. Let's put up with her for a month then. After all, it was Charles himself who had chosen the girlfriend. It wasn't good for the group to comment on anything. In that case, they might as well keep quiet. It was only a month, anyway. Besides, Charles was a playboy who didn't take his love life seriously, and becoming his girlfriend might not be a good thing either. He might change his mind after a couple of days despite how serious he was now. Greta was in the washroom. Naturally, she heard the duo's conversation. Sophie knows I am in here. How could she say those words without caring about my presence? Does she think of herself as one class above everyone? It took me a great effort to be with someone so powerful, yet she still looks down on me. This is too much. Humph. She wants to split us up, huh? Let's see who will have a breakup first, then. She was certain that Tristan knew nothing about Simon's feelings toward Sophie and decided to make it known to Tristan to break off his relationship with Sophie. When she returned from the washroom, only Charles was waiting for her. Everyone else had already left. What took you so long? Everybody's left. Charles liked Greta quite a bit, but a spoilt brat like him disliked waiting for someone. When Greta heard that, she quickly wrapped her arms around Charles's and said piteously, "Mr. Quigley, your friends don't seem to like me very much. I'm a little worried, as I like you from the bottom of my heart and only want to be with you." Seeing her looking all pitiful, Charles touched her nose dotingly. "Don't overthink. That is who they are like. But they are all my best buddies and won't do anything to you. Don't worry." Charles was now quite fond of Greta and willing to explain more to her. "I'm glad to hear that. Actually, Sophie is my classmate at the University of Medicine. However, there seems to be a misunderstanding between us. I'm a little worried that she may not like me. Are you also a student of the University of Medicine?" Charles knitted his brows and wondered what kind of misunderstanding Greta had with Sophia. No matter what, do remember that Sophie is not a woman you can trifle with. Be polite whenever you encounter her. She will not make things difficult for you for my sake. He had been spending time with Sophie for a while and naturally knew what kind of a person she was. Sophie was never a nosy person. For those she didn't actually care, she wouldn't even bother to spare them another glance. Thus, he was never worried that she would give Greta a hard time. Okay. Greta dared not to say anything else, knowing Charles was actually telling her not to make enemies with Sophie. "Remember what I said, don't you ever cross Sophie. Otherwise, even I will not be able to protect you." Although Charles liked Greta quite a bit, he would never pick a quarrel with Sophie and the group because of her. After all, Sophie was an extremely scary character to him. Whoever offended her would be doomed. Greta was somewhat upset by Charles's remarks. "What's so great about Sophie? It's all because Mr. Tristan adores her. She'll be nothing without him." She thought as long as Tristan had no more romantic feelings for Sophie, the latter would be a nobody and no longer worthy of doing anything she wanted like before. Needless to say, she knew what men cared about the most. When Charles took Greta to Nocturnal, the others were already there, and Sean was drinking at a corner. Sean seldom talked on such occasions. It was as if he was living in another world, and the others had no way to enter it. Sophie was the only person he was willing to talk to. The rest of the group had gotten used to him behaving in that manner, and they all got along very well. "Sophie, I think I'm quite popular recently. Since my new album is almost ready, should I seize the opportunity and release it as soon as possible?" Although Isabel had been busy with the new album lately, she enjoyed such a busy life. "Well, there's no need for you to ask me about this. You should have absolute confidence in Xandra's professionalism and discuss it with her directly." Sophie thought Xandra knew everything about the entertainment industry like the back of her hand. Thus, everything she decided wouldn't be any problem. "Do you not love me anymore? Are you abandoning me?" Isabel pouted and asked. "I sincerely think my new song is quite nice. Could you please listen to it the next time you go to TS Entertainment?" Despite how much her fans loved her, she still wished to get Sophie's recognition. It was as though that was the only thing she considered her real success. "Enough. Isabel. It's you who wants to become a singer. Sophie has nothing to do about it. She has been very busy recently. Please leave her alone, Tristan warned. All right. I'm sorry, Sophie. I shouldn't have bothered you. Isabel thought Sophie must be exhausted after everything she had been through lately. I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. I'll visit you soon when I'm free. Sophie knew Isabel had great self-awareness and wasn't worried at all. Besides, there were many professionals in TS entertainment. Even if Isabel faced a problem, they could help to solve it. Felix comforted Isabel. It's okay. I'll listen to you sing tomorrow. All you need is my admiration. Just ignore your Uncle Tristan. He only has Sophie in his heart. Isabel leaned on Felix's shoulder and wailed. Uncle Tristan doesn't love me anymore. No, I should say he never loved me. Her adorable look made Sophie chuckle. Ah, such a feeling is wonderful. Everything I do doesn't seem like a big deal as long as I have them by my side. Greta couldn't blend into the group when they were discussing other topics. However, she got to know Isabel was a singer when she heard them mention singing. Isabel, I like your songs very much. May I have your autograph after this? She asked with a smile. Really? Do you like my songs? Ah. Do you know what song I sang then? Isabel looked at Greta in anticipation. Greta couldn't answer for a moment. Isabel was indeed quite popular recently. But most of her fans were boys, so Greta didn't pay much attention to her songs. At that moment, she merely wanted to join the group and chat with them. She didn't expect Isabel to ask such a question. Disappointment swamped Isabel as she watched Greta. So you're a fake fan. Please don't say that on purpose if you don't like me. You're only making me disappointed. Isabel thought Greta was hypocritical. I am a singer. I only wish for fans to truly like me, but not any fake fans. Greta clenched her fists in silence. Feeling utterly awkward, she dared not even look at Charles's reaction.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.